Well, anyways, you said you had some stuff.
Welcome back to King of the World chat, where the points are made up and the topics don't. The topics are made up and the points don't matter. I stole your thing.
Who's they?
I got it backwards. I almost messed up the intro. That's your bit.
Almost messed it up. I don't know. Does the stutter count?
That's your bit.
That's my. I'll give you that.
It wasn't a stutter. It was a stutter.
Bit.
Stop, put it in reverse, and go back because I was about to mess it up, but I didn't mess it up.
All right.
And for that, we say thank you. To say one I haven't said in a long time. I do have some stuff to talk about. We have some stuff to talk about. We got a lot to talk about. Oh shit. We should have started it off with last time. We talked about last time on Dragon Ball Z. And by Dragon Ball Z, of course, mean King of the World chat. We talked about the history of toilet paper.
We did. We did talk about the history of toilet paper.
Sort of. Maybe we should just like...
They wipe their ass with a sponge and vinegar? Disgusting.
We'll just keep giving the history of toilet paper bit by bit.
The trail it leaves. Actually, Charmin has a commercial. They don't leave paper trails anymore. All right.
One paper trails. One sheet at a time. One square at a time. I cannot spare a square.
I can't spare a square. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I just don't feel like they probably run into that problem. I know we do, but at the same time, I've never been in a public bathroom that didn't have toilet paper in it. It's always there.
Surely once in my life.
Nah, dude. Guys don't typically take shits out there. You know, that's a home thing.
I think most people definitely at least try to avoid shitting outside the home.
We should try to avoid talking about shitting every video.
Hey, there you go. We didn't even make it a whole nother episode. We need to actually make that sign
we do.
And put it up somewhere. It's like, we've gone 0 episodes without talking about poop.
Shit happens.
Right. Because we're unprepared. And by unprepared, I mean we're never unprepared. But because we didn't have a random topic to start out this episode of the podcast with, and we've done different bits.
We've done bits.
Towards the end of the last season, we were doing the Reddit bit. We'd go on Reddit and we'd find an interesting Ask Reddit question, and then we would try to guess what the top response was going to be.
The hard part was finding
and give
something
ourselves
interesting
points
on Reddit.
That didn't matter. What's that? I'm sorry.
I said the hard part was finding something interesting on Reddit.
That's true. But this time we're gonna let Skynet pick our random topic.
Oh yeah, I forgot. You're still playing with that thing. He's working with the enemy fellers.
No, he's talking about something inappropriate. He's talking about something inappropriate when he says, I'm playing with that thing. So, nope, hands are up here. Not playing with anything.
Not that thing. No,
he means OpenAI, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I did let, fun fact.
How would your dick be considered the enemy?
Huh?
How would your dick be considered the enemy?
I mean, one could say that for, like, men.
Your dick is the enemy for men?
We are our own worst enemy. And listen, sometimes it's gotten us into trouble. A few times. No, not us, as in you and I. It's gotten
Is that why you wear glasses?
Probably definitely gotten me into trouble once before, at least. What?
What are we talking about getting into trouble with? Like now I'm actually lost.
I know. Let's just move on. The thing he was talking about playing with is the thing everyone is playing with, except for maybe you. Anyways, how about discussing the future of work? You could explore topics such as the impact of technology on the job market. It's funny that an AI chatbot wants to talk to us about the future of work, and the first thing it suggests is the impact of technology on the job market. It's like, hey, can you talk about how I'm going to replace you one day? You bastard. Remote work and its benefits and challenges. The rise of the gig economy and freelance work, which you could sort of call YouTube. The skills and training needed for the jobs of tomorrow. It's like, hey, please tell me how to know what I need to do, how to do what I need to know how to do to replace you. And the role of companies and governments in shaping the future of work. Well, I think that's a boring topic.
Yeah. I would say got bored listening.
I meant the last point in the one talking about the role of companies and governments in shaping the future of work. But, you know, I just thought that was funny that the first thing that it suggested, which of course, if I asked it another time, it would probably, in fact, that's where we got the history of toilet paper last time. It was like, what should we talk about at the beginning of the episode? And it was like the history of toilet paper. That wasn't on the fly in the middle of the show like this one was. You're getting how the sausage is made. Yeah, the future of work is that we won't work. The AI will replace everyone. It will do all of the work. And,
I'm going to be honest, this whole intro is just like kind of a Debbie Downer.
Probably farm us for blood, like in...
oh, it gets worse.
Like in that one movie.
That concept doesn't work.
And we'll need John Wick to come and save us.
That's the wrong dude.
You know what I thought about today? Speaking of John Wick. John Wick made me think of... Not John Constantine. John Wick made me think of the Doomslayer. Because...
Okay.
They, at one point, made the Doomslayer like his pet bunny rabbit.
I don't know. Killed. How does Neo not count more as the Doomslayer?
Well, that was the first reference when I said we'd be farmed for blood by the AI.
They were farming them for electricity, though.
Yeah, but it was through the blood, wasn't it?
Dude, I don't remember. They explained it twice in the movie, and I still didn't get it.
Well, anyway, I was thinking about, I was listening to the Doom soundtrack earlier this morning, and I was thinking about how that was similar to John Wick because he sort of went off because they killed his dog. And the Doomslayer went off. In one Doom game, they made it about they killed his pet rabbit.
Yeah.
And that was why he was like so angry. And I don't know if they retconned that or not with Doom Eternal, which was a fantastic game. But I was thinking about it this morning. And you know who, obviously, we were talking about how the Demon Hunter class order in WoW has a lot of Doomslayer references, like down to like talent names and like being the Slayer as your title.
Yeah. Dude,
they like directly ripped. Well, I guess Doom Eternal came out after Legion. But like.
Dude, Doom's been around for so long, though.
Yeah, but it didn't have all the lore that they added in.
So what, if you're thinking about a Demon Hunter in these times, who's the original?
Well, no,
who's the first?
It was Doom before it was, but then they ripped off of Illidan's story a little bit, it seems like. There's parallels, at least.
Oh, there's parallels, but I'm going to be honest. I think Illidan's like whole, like the Demon Hunter initiative and everything is just like Doomslayers.
That's classic Blizzard ripping off of, which they should do more of because...
But does everything need to be a super soldier?
Dragon riding mounts, direct rip-off of Guild Wars 2, good rip-off. Do more of that. Rip-off of good games for World of Warcraft. For all of your games. That's to you, Blizzard. So you can thank us. You can send the royalty checks to...
Honestly, if I was Blizzard, I'd be making a whole new game on a different engine. And that would be the next expansion. So if people...
They are working on a new game. They're working on a survival game.
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. You know that.
Well, no one knows what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm talking about like making another World of Warcraft that's not all the spaghetti code.
Oh yeah, you're talking about like remaking World of Warcraft. That's a fairly...
I don't think that's ridiculous to ask for.
It's not. A lot of people have asked for that. I don't think they'll do it. Not anytime soon. But maybe when the AI takes over and decides for them. I guess the only major like plot point though to finish that I thought of between Illidan and the Doomslayer off the top of my head is that Well, I guess there's several, but the one I thought of this morning was like in Doom Eternal. Like you're trying to get back to that one hell portal or whatever, and they're like, well, the only active one is in the middle of Mars. So he like goes to get the BFG to launch him into the core of Mars, essentially, like to blast a hole in Mars.
Yeah.
And then go there. And I was like, that's kind of what Illidan does to get the key, isn't it? To well, he sends his demon hunters. So he goes in the book Illidan, he goes to the planet where they keep like all of their archives of their knowledge of all.
He basically
universes.
assaults the Legion's equivalents of the Jedi archives.
He pretty much like demolishes everything, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, there are no survivors.
There
were no survivors.
They pulled some dialogue from Doom Eternal in this track that had the music in there, and it was like the doctor, whatever his name is, and he's like, "You can't just launch a hole into Mars," and I'm like, don't tell the Doomslayer what he can and can't do, because he's like, if I need to get into Mars, obviously the only logical way to do that is to take the BFG and blast a big fucking hole in Mars. And I don't give a shit what the repercussions are. I needed to get there. So,
yep, the ground was in the way.
Well, let's get to some of the topics of the day then.
Okay, some meat and potatoes.
Now that we've accepted that the AI is going to replace us all and farm us for blood or electricity through our blood. Although, maybe it would be more productive to feed us and find a way to use power from our shit.
This shit's pretty toxic.
Toxic. Speaking of toxic, no. I was thinking about it like this. We talked about this a couple times before, but it's something that is a hot topic in WoW, and it is a little bit of a divisive topic because I think the community used to feel, well, maybe not the community, but maybe a vocal part of the community felt one way about it. And I think that at large, people wouldn't like it not to be that way. It's sort of the negative aspect of the question we're going to ask just now, which is sort of like, what's good for an MMO? What kinds of things are bad for an MMO? Like, and I want to start off by saying for myself that I believe, let me ask you a question. What are the two worst words that you can hear or read in chat in an MMO if you're a fan of that MMO?
Chuck Norris.
How's that two of the worst words?
Because that means the chat has gone to shit.
Oh, man. You don't remember the good times with the old bear?
I remember the Baron's chat.
Okay. Well, that's a fair answer then. I was going to say dead game. Dead game is not what you want to see if you're a fan.
That's essentially what Chuck Norris is. This is what your chat has become. But World of Warcraft somehow manages to carry the plague and exist.
I was going to say, you probably would argue that Chuck Norris conversation was at one of the peaks of World of Warcraft.
Rose-colored goggles, man.
It's not rose-colored goggles. You can go
so.
back and look at the numbers. It would eventually go higher because I think it was highest at its point.
Yeah, but okay, it's like, but that's like where everything starts with World of Warcraft. Like, it's that first part of the relationship, essentially.
Well, I feel like you're hearing me say, man, those were the days. And I'm saying those were good days. I'm not saying that was the best. I'm not saying that's the best times ever in WoW. I just meant it definitely was not a dead game when people were talking about Chuck Norris in the Barrens. So the reason I say a dead game is something you don't want to see if you're a fan of World of Warcraft or any MMORPG is because MMOs live and die by player populations more so than probably most games. I feel like people don't want to do something that they don't, at least the mainstream, which maybe that isn't what you're concerned with looking at, but definitely with a lot of the gaming audiences being younger, I feel like they want to play games that other people are playing. You don't want to play a game that requires you to match with people if nobody's playing it. Speaking of, I saw the other day, do you know that Halo Infinite has lower numbers than Battlefield 2042? Not the old one, 2142, the most recent shit version of Battlefield that came out. By like a lot.
Yeah, because they went with 2042, not 2142.
I'm just
saying,
there's
had they
more.
gone 2142, I would be playing that game.
There's a lot more people playing that Battlefield than there are Halo Infinite, though. I just thought that was interesting. But for MMOs in particular, if you have a low player base, if anybody gets an inkling that it's a dead game, that can kill your MMO. If that's like the player perception within the community that plays your MMO, that can be the beginning of the end for your MMO. And whether or not you agree with that, I think that everyone can agree that if you're playing an MMORPG, you want the player population to be healthy and big. You should want the game to have more players because that is a better game. You don't want to play on a dead server, at least, right?
Yeah, no. I mean, like, there's some people who like the low pop servers like that.
But usually for some kind of nefarious reasons, probably.
Mostly it's like, nah. It's like people like from PPS that like to play, solo content, essentially.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's that's one of the big complaints that I think classic MMO players have about MMOs today. Like, effectively, people do want to play like a single player game, basically. They don't want to engage, which brings us to one of the positive sides about what I wanted to talk about today. And we can start out with that. WoW Dragonflight, the latest expansion of World of Warcraft, if you haven't played it or haven't paid attention to it, because I believe their sales numbers, we don't have their sales numbers, and if they did well, they would brag about it. They're probably lower than what they wanted it to be. But if you haven't played or haven't checked it out or aren't, you're not paying attention to World of Warcraft, WoW Dragonflight has done some things very well. And one of the things that you and I have both agreed before has done well is to do things that encourage player interactions, like MMORPG, people doing stuff in an open world that makes you realize you're not playing a single player game. You're in a world with thousands of other players that can interact with you. I wanted to talk about some of the good things that World of Warcraft has done that encourage that. And I'll give you some examples to start it out, or an example to start it out. For example, you and I both have herbalists. It's a gathering profession. We pick flowers. It's one of the things that our characters do. They give you an ability now, and they wisely patched it as such that you don't have to spec into it anymore. If you are a gatherer, because there's specs for your professions now, which is also good for the most part. They should give you some way.
You should expand more on that.
We could go into that, but
that's another video.
It's a hot topic of controversy because it's a tough problem to solve. Like, you can't just, the main problem is respecs. They're like, you should be able to respec, but it's not as simple as that. As a gatherer, you now have an ability where you can do an elemental overload, which basically you go up to certain nodes that could be like fire or ice or, the different elements that are in the game. And when you hit that, it does something, depending on what kind of element it is, that has a cool interact. Like, there's one, which one is it? Because we haven't done it in forever. It essentially turns the plant or spawns what is basically like a target dummy almost. And you just wail on it as hard as you can for a certain amount of time. And depending on how hard you hit it, more of the resource pops out. That's fun. And I can benefit from him popping his Primal Elemental Overload cooldown. So I'm encouraged to come and gather with him because we both have our own cooldowns and we could both benefit from that. And anybody that's an herbalist that comes up while we're doing that can also take part in that. And if we're playing PvP even, like we always do with war mode on, they could try to kill us. And we've had that go both ways. In fact, it's like,
I haven't lost the frozen herb yet.
Well, I'm just saying, like most of the time, we had it where the herbalist wants to benefit from it too.
Sky Scourge.
Yes. Which is another type of interaction, the dragon riding. You can knock people off the dragons if you're in war mode, which is one of the most fun things that you can do.
Yes,
if you're playing Dragonflight and you're bored, turn war mode on and experience a new kind of PvP where you just knock people out of the sky. You'll get a title if you do that enough.
Training video coming soon.
We're talking about things that Dragonflight does that encourages you to interact with other players, because I think that's good. What are some examples of that other than the dragon riding, knocking people off the dragons?
I think the outpost is actually gonna, if it continues to put things up that require you to interact with other people.
The trading post.
Yeah, outpost trading.
The battle pass.
Yeah, it's you already pay for it. Like,
Are you flipping on this now?
I never said it was a battle pass.
The first time I told you about it, you said that sounds like a battle pass.
Yeah, but remember I asked you if I had to pay extra for it, and you told me no.
Ah, you did. No, that's totally fair. You did ask. No, you're already paying $15 a month.
So, like, I mean, to me, as someone who's already playing the game, it's actually another fun list to do, because some of those things do look like it's like, okay, kill a few raid bosses, that's whatever. LFR.
That's true either way. Like, I honestly do not understand people getting bent out of shape about it. I say that a little bit tongue-in-cheek when I call it a battle pass, because there are certain people that do not want you to call it a battle pass. And it's like,
well, it's not really true.
Well,
you
listen,
pay for a battle pass. It works a little similar.
You don't. There's free battle passes. There's absolutely free battle passes. They're never as good as the premium one. Overwatch 2 is horrible about that.
In this case, there's no premium, so you're already getting the primo because it's as good as
you're already paying the premium.
Well,
so, like, again, I'm not trying to argue whether or not it is a battle pass. Whether you want to call it a battle pass or don't, we could agree that it uses some of the same. It can feel like one. It's not about whether or not it is. Yeah. And listen, it's good because it, like you said, it gives you things to do.
Yeah.
You get a reward for doing things that you would do anyway. And some of those things, like the spear fishing, we both spearfished together yesterday. That's fun. Like, we got 50 points, was it, for doing 10 spearfish? Like, and an achievement, like, if you're into achievements. And you could do that with any random player that walks up. You just fucking do the spearfish thing at the same time.
By the way, if you're all about prestige, you definitely give a shit about achievements.
Oh man, prestige. We'll get into
that's
prestige.
Another video.
That's where this is going eventually, to some extent. You know what we should do? Speaking of spearfishing, we should get on opposite sides of the river, spear the same fish, and both mash the pull button and see if it effectively has a tug of war.
All right. I'm sure
that'll be fun.
I'm sure there's a Tuskar fishing up somewhere right now.
Yeah. Well, we both have enough Tuskar rep to craft our own. I'm at that point, and I just haven't done it. It's like what comes after the net quest. Which, again, this is a perfect example. That and the dragon riding. That's two types of what you call emergent gameplay, if you want to be fancy. It's like, hey, the game didn't tell you directly to do this, but if it allows for a system like, hey, there's water, there's fish in the water, you can throw spears at the fish, you pull it into the shore. If we can both hit the same fish, now it's like, well, can we play tug of war with the fish? I don't know. We're going to find out later. That's going to be fun. It's not going to be hours and hours of fun right there alone, but that's emergent gameplay. That's good for MMORPGs. WoW Dragonflight has done that well. I had a whole list that I had written out one day when I was definitely working at work where I wrote down some of the things that I could think of. Excuse me. Oh, okay, yeah. Ice fishing. Elemental overload for gathering. War crates. War crates is some of the most fun that I've experienced with what we're talking about right now in Dragonflight. And that's been out since before Dragonflight. Mm-hmm. But I always think of that one time in the Onaran Plains when it landed.
Oh, and it lasted for like 5 minutes. Like that thing.
Dude, we were battling. Like it was right at the beginning of the expansion.
I thought it was going to disappear.
It was close. It had to be close. Well, if it's contested, I wonder if it does disappear. I mean, eventually it would, of course, but like, I wonder if it resets when you try to open it and you don't succeed.
It's a possibility.
You'd need a dead server to test that, which thankfully we don't have to deal with.
Yeah, no. Our server is... Ugh.
Dude, day one, we realized that you could knock people off their mounts. I still don't think that everybody knows that. By this point, it's probably happened to most people at least once, so they probably engaged with it.
I know there's at least 50 people out there who definitely know you can be knocked off your mount.
Well, you know what? Like, this is kind of it's not a bummer, but like, when I was talking about that originally, because on day one, I was like, dude, we were sitting there, we were having a lot of ideas for what you could do with Dragonflight, knowing that you could do that. I was like, dude, this is a totally new form of PvP that like is fun, even if you don't like WoW PvP for whatever reason. Like, all that requires you to do is use an ability that makes you go really fast on a 30-second cooldown and hit another player while the ability is active, and you'll just dismount them. And if they don't have some kind of like thing to land safely, you basically just killed that player. You don't get credit for killing them as an honorable kill, but you do get credit. The game does track you dismounting them. And when you get enough, it's 50 total, then you get a title. The title is what bummed me out a little bit because I want the title too. But originally, when we were doing that, I was like, dude, there's no reward for doing this. It's just fun. And therefore, it's good. And the fact that there is a reward doesn't hurt that at all. But I was like, man, we were doing that when we didn't know there was an achievement.
I started out with 25.
Well, they added the achievement with one of the patches because I remember when I logged on and it went dong, and I was like, I definitely did that a long time ago.
Yeah, I started out with 25 dismounts already. I was like, yep. It's like, that's about right.
It's very fun. You should definitely check that out if you haven't done it. You have to be in war mode to do it. And if you hate it, that's the beauty of war mode. You just turn off war mode.
Achievements under PvP World.
It's called like
Air Tumbler.
Airborne Tumbler or something. Not to be confused with Tumblr, which was previously a platform for mostly porn, I believe. But now it is no longer as such. I was never on Tumblr.
That one completely missed me.
Other things like disturb dirt. You can go and dig up dirt. Those you can, like, it's not exactly like the nodes where like it's not instanced to you specifically. Like if you and me both hit the same dirt, it's not like there's only one and the first of us to grab it gets it. Expedition, scout packs, Ring of Blood. So that's just like a place where it's a world quest. It's definitely not the Ring of Blood, but it works a little bit like the old Ring of Blood quest. Rares. Everybody knows about rare spawns. They've recently changed it to where they have more health so they don't die so quickly. What's your favorite way to do that? Like we've also got Grand Hunts, the Soup and the Siege event, Obsidian Key farming, Cobalt assembly. Those are things that encourage you. You're helped by playing with others. Or you could go and try to attack other players while they're doing that if you're looking for players in the open world. Assassins, races. There's multiplayer races where you can actually race against one another.
Yeah, I've only got like 2 more bounty collectors to get.
Oh, for the assassin stuff, the PvP assassin.
And I've gotten that quest twice. Ugh, gonna get it. Gonna get it.
Yeah.
And I'm not even
Definitely.
concentrating freaking PvP this round. Just I'm running out there with like basic Drake Breaker and like I have like a piece of conquest gear.
Crafting orders could definitely probably use a little bit of.
Oh yeah, man! I hope it's a 418 this time.
Those are things that the game does well that encourages you to play with other players, makes it feel like a living open world, and they've done a good job in that, which is good for an MMO because more people play, and more people playing is good for an MMORPG, I think. Which I preface by saying, to say something that you brought up earlier when you said the prestige. Because there seems to be a bunch of players in the world of Warcraft who, you know what I'm talking about.
I'm almost certain I know what you're talking about, but please continue.
There seems to be a bunch of players that are upset, which is never something that happens in World of Warcraft or in any MMO on the internet. No one on the internet is ever mad. Everyone's happy all the time.
Oh yeah, no, there's always shitters, dude. Like I said, Demon Hunter. Like every other class hates my class. They ask for me to get nerfed.
I don't know about every other. I don't have any problem with Demon Hunters. I like my Demon Hunter.
I mean, you say, oh yeah, you run with one. You don't really get much of a choice. Like it or not,
I'm around. If I wanted to.
Huh?
I just mean I have no problem with the class. I like the class. I think it's I think it's like it's a spastic class at times.
Hey man, you just gotta be able to manage it. It's a rush.
If you said, hey, there's a class in WoW that rips and tears, I'd be like, yeah, Demon Hunter, they nailed that. Yeah. It is high adrenaline, and when it causes problems, that's why usually.
And I mean, y'all even drop, like, you don't drop ammo, but you drop health, so.
Well, yeah. I think, speaking of, I was going to say Death Knights, you could look at other players as health as well.
Yeah.
And
for
I haven't looked
factor.
at it, but I think blood is getting buffed. I haven't played a whole lot of blood. My blood DK is one of my maxed characters that I have tanked on and done some mythic keys on. But I haven't looked at, apparently they're about to get buffed.
Does blood DK have bloodworms again?
Yeah, they never lost bloodworms.
Oh, they never lost bloodworms.
They didn't take them much in Shadowlands.
Okay.
They might have been decent for.
I was in a run the other day where they said worm pool, and I was like, okay, that must have been the Death Knights, like bloodworm.
Yeah, I've got bloodworms again.
Okay, so apparently those things pulling is a problem.
Oh, that sounds nasty.
Yeah,
I've got bloodworms.
I got bloodworms. Ugh.
My Death Knight has bloodworms. No, prestige.
Worldwide. Why? So yes, we're gonna talk about the kid that lives in the nice house who's lives on his own, doesn't have any siblings. He's always wearing body armor. He got away, You
missed.
Yeah. Is this really where we're gonna go? So let me get this straight. So because this is going where I think it is. Take like
Is Bee's Nest.
This, say like the Mage Tower artifact weapons that are no longer available. Making those available again. Apparently that spits in their face or something like that.
Dude, I wish I could find that comment again. I read a comment on Reddit the other day.
He keeps referencing it a lot. Like a lot.
This guy, dude, this person, they went off about like they're like this Bee's Nest was first kicked in Dragonflight when they announced Twitch drops. And they had
Feldrake.
It used to only be available a long time ago. There was a World of Warcraft trading card game. And now we have Hearthstone, which is.
I hope the thumbs down flag comes into the trading post.
Yeah, that would be cool. This is what the trading post is good. I want to be clear about that. Like that's what I don't understand. Whether or not someone calling it a battle pass offends you or irritates you or you don't like that or you disagree with that, the trading post is good for the game. Now, I do want to be on record as saying that I'm in the camp that believes that in some amount of time, sooner rather than later, they absolutely will allow you to spend money to get that Tinder, the currency that you get. And I think the way that will go most likely is they're going to wait for people to be like, man, I wish I could get more of this currency. Because people are more than happy to give money for cosmetics and things in the game, which, hey, that's what you want to do with your money.
I'm just saying it would be better if they kept it up with making me earn it in game to make me play the game.
That's what everybody would be okay with. It's like, yeah, you can make the cosmetics pay to win, but everybody only really gets mad when you make it to where you can't get them without spending money.
Right. So, but just to continue on before we went on to the trading post. So, because somebody paid $15 in this time frame, that they are the only ones that should have the right to earn their artifact appearance. I think that's a load of bullshit.
And they'll make the argument that they earned it and like
that nothing was earned here. Like
they call a little bit, but like
it was available to everybody that had to play Legion. Now, not everybody got about it. Not everybody knew about it. There's people who live under a rock and play this game.
And eventually it got much easier to do at the end of the expansion.
Which I'm pretty sure this is the person that started crying about that at the end too. Like,
I don't remember. There's common arguments that people that are in that camp will make, and they'll use words like entitled, which I think is both hilarious and sad.
Yeah, because like literally, it's like you want to talk about entitlement, like you
We're
really
playing a
want to
fucking
talk
video
about
game. It's a game, man.
Dude, not that it's just a video game.
It's nothing safe.
It's the entitlement they have. That's like, oh, this is only for me. I guess you're just entitled to that, right?
Yeah, like my brother and I, we got the Keystone Master mount this season.
But
like,
if I find that on the store page in the year, I don't care. I got mine the way I wanted to get mine.
I would not give a shit at all.
Yeah.
Like that mount is not special to me because it's exclusive.
Yeah, no, that was like, that's Pug Life. Like, if I could get a license plate for that mount, it would be Pug Life because that's how that mount was earned. Like, and no matter what, if they put it in the trading post, if they put it on the store page, if they hand it out as a promotion,
devalue it.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll never lose that achievement. I'll never lose those frustrating memories we have. Like,
oh man.
And there's
I wish
good
I could
ones
lose
too.
them.
There's a lot of good fun ones too. We're just,
Oh yeah.
So it's just that you hear about the bad ones more because they're more fun to talk about than, like, and, hey, everything went the way it was supposed to. Like, boulders are baited.
You take something like Shadowmourne, which nobody cares about anymore.
Yeah, no.
Like way back in the day, you saw Shadowmourne, that was something special. Like now it turns out, if you've ever listened to Drama Time or there, like an even better example for that is because Classic WoW came out not long ago, right?
Yeah.
You can go and watch some really fantastic content on YouTube. Now you need a couple of hours because some of these videos are long, but you can listen to some of the shenanigans that people got up to in the AQ event and the Gong and the fucking Karaji war tank.
Oh yeah.
Like,
dude, this is a chance to get to have a black Karaji war tank. Like, doesn't take away from the guy who's like, hey.
Dude, people would enlist help from the opposite faction to stop people from farming it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was all kinds of, like, some of the most degenerate behavior in MMOs, but also some of what makes MMOs magical because it's the only kind of thing where that happens. But my point about Shadowmourne
I think that's why a lot of people who play MMOs latch on to animes like SAO and whatnot and Dot Hack, because in a way they capture some of that stuff pretty well. Like
the first few episodes of Sword Art Online definitely nailed that.
It goes in a whole different direction than one.
Definitely nailed that though at the beginning.
It's like
which I would also say about Westworld.
Which is why Dot Hack is the superior of the two. Like,
and then it was like, but yeah.
But anyways, I digress.
If you've watched any amount of that or Drama Time, if you're a fan of Preach, and if you're not a fan of Preach and you play World of Warcraft, you're missing out. You should at least check that out a little bit. Drama Time is basically just a bunch of people, and they could be lying, No, excuse me. Let me go back. None of the stories on Drama Time are made up. They're definitely all true, definitely all real, definitely all happened.
You're about to tick off Preach's Faceless Void. Like
no, that would be ticked off if I said otherwise. They're clearly all true.
Like I said. But seriously, you should go give him a check out. Hilarious
and if
stuff.
you do, you'll be addicted to it probably. If you're a fan of World of Warcraft, it's fantastic.
Or
but
if
what
you
you'll
just
hear
like
a lot
hearing
of,
real people drama, it's a great place to hear it.
people love drama, dude.
Oh yeah.
Like
oh yeah.
it's some of the most like degenerate stuff, but fucking it's
Lives
something about that.
destroyed.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe everybody's like, I'm glad that's not me.
Oh,
whatever it is.
Yeah,
like,
because when you're playing WoW, it's like, hey, am I doing bad? Go listen to a Drama Time story. Nah, you're not doing that bad at all.
Wherever you're at, people love drama.
Oh, yeah.
But you'll hear a lot of stories of like, you look back in the day, you saw Shadowmoor and you're like, holy shit, that guy's got Shadowmoor. Nowadays, what you hear is there was a lot of fuckery going on behind the scenes. And hey, this goes into loot as well, which I read a story about group loot today, which is absolute garbo in Dragonflight for the most part. Like, and I do get the whole, it's not any different than personal loot. It's just happening behind the scenes. But like, do you know what I read today?
What?
The guy didn't have the receipts. He didn't have the blue like screenshots to have it. But what people are doing now is they're starting raid pugs. They're getting big groups on purpose, okay? Larger than you might normally do. And when they get close to killing the boss, what's up, Pep? They kick some of the players because the amount of loot, apparently, if this is correct, the amount of loot that boss is going to drop is based on the number of play. If what this guy said is true, it could be absolutely be wrong. But this is what, according to this dude, people are doing. They're getting more loot drops on the boss by starting the fight with more people and then kicking some of the players so that they don't have a shot at the loot because it's group loot and they have to roll now. And then previously with personal loot, they would have got that mailed to them if they won something. Now they don't even get to roll on it. And so people are basically exploiting group loot. And whether or not that is actually happening, I've personally seen people get a drop that they didn't need as far as item level goes.
From Mog.
Couldn't even use in the case of this paladin that I'm talking about.
No.
And then like basically holding it hostage from players that did want to win it and going, hey, if you pay me X amount, then I'll give you this. It's like, supposedly that wasn't going to be able to happen as Blizzard. I think they fixed that now, but have you, Blizzard? Have you really? And even if they say they have.
Say, dude, that's an easy transaction to track too. Should result in a ban.
Well, but so the guy said, according to his post, that customer service said, hey, they can kick you for whatever reason they want to. That's the group leader's discretion. So that's why I was a little sus, because I'm like, I would think you would show the screenshots.
That violates the TOS.
Well, the TOS is a little more complicated nowadays in the era
No,
of
I'm
the...
almost certain that violates the new TOS.
Hey, leaving in Mythic Plus should be a violation of TOS if you look at it the same way they do the PvP leavers.
Yeah.
But that's not a reportable offense yet.
There should, there's people saying like, oh, 4 players holding 1 player hostage. It's like, It's like, then it's like, you just need like 3. Like 3
Well,
bucks.
they could fix that easily as well. And we have talked about ideas for how to fix Mythic Plus, but all my point is that there's always been loot shenanigans. But back in the day,
I honestly know how to fix that shit, and it's pretty fucking easy.
To fix what shit?
Mythic Plus. Get rid of.
Oh yeah.
Get rid of the timer. Get rid of stopping.
Okay, we've all.
Like,
a lot of people have said get rid of the timer, and I think the timer is
develop
bad.
a scoring system.
The timer is lazy. It's lazy difficulty.
Yeah, develop a scoring system and then have a leaderboard. Like,
I don't think they're going to put in they've got the team to put in that kind of work, and they should.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I think would work, even if they were going to go a half step there? If there was timers in between the bosses, that would be better. Because then you're not fucked if you messed up a whole bunch at the beginning And now it's like, well, we'll never make it to the end. But if your timer started from boss to boss, then hey, like you could still, that would be better. It's not hard.
You know what would be fun? Like if it, instead of trash, like what if they did like a run from the Lich King run, where instead of like to each boss, it did it's not Pits of Saren.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know the part of the dungeon where you go into like...
Not Maw of Souls, it's
I know,
something
dude.
of Souls,
I
though.
know. Not the Forge of Souls. It's on the way.
It's the one in Ice Crown. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
It's the dungeon where when you're running away from the Lich King. It's when you literally
you
go...
and Jaina, the group in Jaina... Yeah.
When you find the...
Halls of Reflection.
Yeah. Halls of Reflection. Okay.
Bam.
So when you start running, like
cool
it should just clear out all the mobs, and then it should do that encounter with like the undead, just with all the affixes and everything, with new abominations and stuff for you to fight, like different waves. Like, and that's what you do in between bosses. When you get to the boss, he disappears. Or something of the sort,
I'm not quite understanding.
It's turning the runs in between, removing trash and turning them into a gauntlet. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
but it's a gauntlet that has like a firewall chasing you, essentially.
Okay. So a timer, but differently.
Yeah, it's a different kind of timer. It's one that like...
It's almost like the Terror grew a little bit.
Yeah. Another way you could do it is like I said, like off the high score system. Like if you take like having a unique comp, like which means no stat classes, like, or
that would be more for raid, because that's where that gets exploited more.
Well, no, I mean, like if you're doing a scoring system and it's like how big a group you can pull, well then why wouldn't you just take 3 mages, or something like that?
People don't do that now.
I know.
If it was effective, they would do that.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm just saying like ways you could possibly exploit it.
Well, you'd have to like score the classes there, like, and nobody's gonna want that. Like,
right.
hey, your class isn't as valuable.
Well, I mean, like pretty much everybody has.
No, it could be a weekly affix type thing.
It would also encourage players to not just pick talents that are based off damage.
Yeah, if they were more creative with their affixes, that could do it too. And I know that's hard to balance around. Like, but yeah, you could have affixes that were like, hey, do the dungeon like this. Like, yeah, you have to. You could have like bring a mage week, for example, where it's like
the solution is not figuring out a way to deal with levers. The situation is curing why you have levers.
Absolutely.
Like, so in that situation, that's why it's really M+ that needs to change. The boat.
No, I agree. Listen, I spent a lot of time thinking about how to do.
It got us across the pond a couple times, but there's probably a better boat we could be using at this point.
Absolutely, and I think that's I think about that a lot. I think that's a good topic, but I think it also gets complicated. Like,
yeah, dude. Of course, it gets complicated. There's nothing really that simple in life.
But the point was,
right,
that like back in the day, if you saw Thunder Fury, you saw Shadowmourne, you saw these weapons that had you saw somebody in full tier 3, like something like that, like you were like, damn, look at that guy. Like, and as it turns out, like I said, if you go listen to Drama Time, you'll find out there was a lot of loot manipulation and scamming going on there, of course. Which is why personal loot was good if you are playing with pugs. Like, I do believe that, like, everyone would have been happier. The guilds and the raiders definitely, if they had brought back master looter instead of doing what they did. Group loot would have been fine if it had worked as they said it was going to, but it hasn't exactly done that. But the point is, nowadays, if you get Shadowmourne is a good example here, because Shadowmourne is not like some of the things that you can go get in the game. You have to do some bullshit still to get Shadowmourne. There's a really crazy thing that you have to do if you get it solo. You can get people to come with you, which is what we did originally. I was like, one morning, I remember in Shadowlands, I was like, hey, I need you to help me get Shadowmourne this weekend. You're like, okay. Like, so we went there. We had to find another guy because of the way you basically got to get around.
And I did that. You
have to get around a mechanic in Ice Crown Citadel with your blood infusion, if you've done it before. You basically have to do this bullshit with a boss that bites certain players, and you need more people than one player to be able to do it. It turns out that you can do that with one account. There's a way to be logged in on 3 characters. That's what I did as well.
Yep.
Like, and because of that, when I see Shadowmoor nowadays,
that's somebody who didn't just go in and get it. They had to figure that out. I don't
feel like, oh man, my Shadowmoor is less valuable now. I'm like,
actually, your Shadowmoor is more valuable because you didn't fuck over so many other players like the old Shadowmoor did.
Well, that's not what I'm talking about, Dave. And the solve for that to separate between, well, what if you're like, well, hey, Shadowmoor used to mean something, and even if it is bullshit to get it now, still
means something like that.
No, it does. Like I said, it feels if you go and get it.
If it was that easy, everybody'd have it.
If you go through the trouble to get Shadowlands in 2020, Shadowlands to get Shadowmoor in 2023. That weapon will be special to you.
If you're going to get Shadowlands in 2023, you need to check yourself. Like, why?
This is where we insert the meme of Ouroboros being like Toys R Us, except people miss Toys R Us. So that's a bad example. But my point is that, like, my brother got Shadowmoor after I did. My Shadowmoor did not become less valuable to me because he got it. In fact, because I know what he went through to get it, and it takes weeks even after you get that because of how few drops you get.
Oh God, dude, some of those fucking shard drops.
I remember, dude. I was like, there were some weeks when I got like 2. Supposedly you get them from every boss, but like
that is a lie.
That is a lie. And speaking of, like, they're bringing back, I forget the name of the quest. There's an artifact appearance quest that used to be
I still have that on my Demon Hunter because I was playing.
You're about to have that for all your characters.
Dude, I wanted to play Demon Hunter so bad in Legion, but I was playing Paladin at the time, and Legion was just so alt friendly.
Yeah.
It was just like, dude, I can't. I was
definitely not as alt friendly as Dragonflight.
I didn't get to play till BFA, and I didn't even get to play the beginning of BFA because all that bullshit that happened and made me have to go back home and help out, you know, so fuck.
Dude, people give Bellular a hard time and they say that he's a shill for Blizzard because he says like things like, oh no, Dragonflight is alt friendly. Listen, Blizzard isn't paying us anything.
That's actually alt friendly. Yeah, like, no. Our problem is we just don't work on our alts right now.
Oh, dude, I've got 3 alts that are like getting up there. Like,
I've only got the Shaman that's getting up there because I don't.
Yeah, you stop playing your Drakthir.
It's Drakthir, you know, I just don't really care.
Not a fan of Drakthir.
Dude, it's like off-brand Demon Hunter to me. You know what I'm saying?
How?
It feels like other side of the fence Demon Hunter.
Oh, okay, I guess because
maybe we have the tank spec, they have the heal spec. We both have a pew pew. We both have wings. Though I don't get sword.
You have a heal spec. It's called Havoc.
Huh?
You just can't heal anybody else.
Oh, well, every spec I have heals.
True.
When we say tank heals, damage heals. That's it. Why is that? Why is that, Blizzard?
Why is what?
Why do I only have 2 specs?
No. There's a ranged Demon Hunter in Hearthstone, so that's what I always thought they might do with the 3rd class.
If it's a ranged,
3rd spec.
Give me 2 ranged. Let me be magic based or like bow and arrow or gun. I don't care. Just give me the bow. Just give.
Oh, yeah. Of course, there's guns in WoW. I don't know why that made me laugh. When I thought of it, I thought of like a fucking like a mod.
Oh, dude!
If a Demon Hunter had guns,
like the plasma troopers, like, you know,
to say, dude.
Like that's they don't use ammo. They shoot fell bolts. Like
the Demon Hunter gun would be a BFG.
Yeah, well, you mean Illidan's gun?
Super shotgun, dude. Make it a short ranged class, but that's kind of what Outlaw is it not? And to be fair, also Drakthir is mid range. They put a lot of mid range classes in the game now.
The sawed off glaive of Hazanoth.
Your super shotgun.
It'll even tear a pit lord in half.
The Doomslayer would absolutely rip a pit lord in half.
Dude, the sawed off, that's all I use when I play Doom. That's all you need.
That's all anybody used in Doom 2013.
Dude, it's all you need.
They did a good job. No, in Doom Eternal, you have to use your other weapons.
No, you can. No, you can use your other. It makes life easier when you use your other weapons. But at a certain point, when you get good at it enough, you just start using the shotgun.
That's not the bar. It is a very good weapon.
Dude.
You also used, if I remember, well, it was a long time ago. Doom Eternal's a fucking fantastic game. Fun fact, Doom Eternal, like something that has to do with WoW as well, Blood DK. Blood DK plays like Doom Eternal because in Doom Eternal, your health bar is not linear. When it gets down lower, you've actually got more health in like the bottom, I don't know what percentage, like than you do with the full bar. They wanted you to feel like your health bar was low all the time, so your adrenaline would get going. Blood DK does the same thing. If you take Will of the Necropolis, which everyone that plays Blood does, it makes you take 50% damage less at 30% health. So basically, your healer's freaking out the whole time, and you were like, you're death striking. That's what you're doing. Like, actually, the healers used to freak out about Blood DK. Nowadays, healers treat all tanks like Blood DK because most of them are very good at healing themselves, which is also what makes life hard on the second boss in Ruby Life Pulls, because if you miss a defensive on whatever Kokia, the fire Tauren lady, you're gonna have a bad time. Everyone's gonna have a bad time on that boss.
Oh god, yeah. Especially if your range sits with your fucking melee.
We got way off topic, so maybe we'll revisit it. But like, it is, it's definitely something that like I don't understand. I do not understand players getting angry that other players have the ability to get things, and that's why. Listen, the trading post and FOMO content is bad for the game. If the only way I can think about it that makes sense is it has to be valuable to you because other people don't have it, which is like technically the definition of like how value works if you're going to talk about like an economy, but you're not talking about money. That fucking mount, that transmog.
It's not an asset. You're not
zero.
using that to put a lien against your house. So like
that is worth zero. Zero.
Yeah. Walk in. I'd like to get a loan for my house. Okay. Yeah. What you got to put against it? I got a Feldrake.
Okay.
Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out right now.
Can I buy that for you for $3,000?
No, I got mine on Twitch.
Ask all the Chinese players that don't play, that can't even, that their accounts are gone now. Like,
rip.
Which sucks. That really sucks. Like,
it'd be
I don't
funny
know
if
how
they kept
Blizzard
Hong
allowed
Kong servers on though.
Dude, you want to talk about playing chicken? I think Blizzard was playing chicken, and I think he lost.
I would say I think they went over the side. Ooh, I think he lost. Yeah.
You ain't getting anything for that thing. If it's special to you for whatever reason, that's a personal thing, but you should not be affected. To me, it's got to be like, it's like insecurity. It's like Cartman. It's like Eric Cartman. Yeah. You're mad that someone else might have the thing that you... Let me ask you this. Do you get angry? It's an honest question. Do you get angry when people make guides for how to get... If we made a guide right now that was like, hey, here's the quickest way to get Sky Scourge and knock 50 players out of the air. Are you going to go, no. I don't want them to have that title. And so... this guide is devaluing my title.
So what I would say to that person, sir, the more Sky Scourge we have, that means the more dog fights we're going to have.
Exactly.
Which means the more fun I'm going to have. So you can
and
take
when you
prestige.
see somebody else with Sky Scourge, you're like, I'd probably knock that guy out of the air if he's on the other side. Like, or if he's Alliance, then you're like, hey, bro, for the Alliance. Except in the PvP areas.
Are you talking about that?
You're fucking dead.
Poor guy. Poor guy.
No, we annihilated him.
He tried to get away so hard.
He did not.
I don't know why they go into the water. Like they are
so they don't die because Rogue doesn't have a way to stop. Would their grappling hook act like a heroic leap to stop fall damage for them?
I assume so.
I haven't played a Rogue since grappling hook came out.
Like I said, I haven't messed with Rogue.
Dude, speaking of Sky Scourge, it's fucking hilarious to me that like two of the classes that would normally be the best at not dying at falling from the air, Monk, which I play main, and Druid, because they have flight form. We have the Flying Nimbus. They have flight form. But in Dragonflight, that's actually like a nerf because you can't use either of those things. Warriors are better at falling from heights than you are.
Yep. And us and Drakthir have the ultimate superiority. I have so many different ways to decide to not die from fall damage.
But they still get the point if you knock them out off the dragon as far as Sky Scourge is concerned. I'm just saying.
And the follow through is always satisfying.
You need to check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yeah.
If you're worried about somebody else getting something that you have, because here's the thing.
Says a lot about you when you worry about that kind of thing.
That too. Like it's definitely like insecure behavior. I'm not a fucking psychiatrist, psychologist. I can't tell you what you are or aren't. But if I tried to examine it if I was going to say, well, if this upset me just because someone else had it in a fucking video game, then I would have to say, well, it sounds like I probably need to reevaluate.
Yes.
Number two, and more importantly, it's bad for the game. Imagine that a new player wants to play World of Warcraft. We really have to imagine here because I don't think that's happening as much as anyone would like it to happen in 2023. But let's just say that somebody did. And let's take the Frostworm Protodrake that came out not long ago. This is a better example because definitely didn't earn that, right? All I had to do to earn that was download that was the worst part, was downloading Wrath of the Lich King Classic. And then you play through the Death Knight. They gave everybody a Death Knight, which is like a boost almost.
Oh, you're talking about the Frostbrood Protodrake.
The Protodrake.
Yeah.
And if you play
which is not dragon riding.
It's not. It should be. But if you played through the end of that campaign, the opening campaign in Wrath of the Lich King, then they would give you in retail WoW a sick-looking undead Protodrake that you can't use in Dragonflight. Which just sounds ridiculous now that you say it. But if some guy I did that because I'm like, I play a lot of Death Knight. You can ride that mount on any class, but I was like, that's definitely one you want to have if you're going to play Death Knight.
Invincible's the one you want to have.
It's the one everybody wants to have, but nobody looks at it. Well,
yeah, I don't feel like my Invincible's worth less when I see someone else on it.
If somebody wanted that Protodrake and he's like, hey man, how do I get that? This is a new player. Remember, he just started playing today. He's like, oh man, I'm having so much fun with World of Warcraft. He's like, how do I get that? And then I tell him, that's the thing, dude. You can't get this mount. What? Yeah, you had to play before this date to get it. Was it like a challenge? No, not really. Like I said, the most challenging part was that I had to go into that's the only reason I waited as long as I did to do it. I was like,
kind of makes you want to not play the game.
That might make that person not want to play.
Yeah.
Like, what about it's good that they put the flail on the trading post. Again, trading post good.
Oh, yeah.
But do you know how many times I was like, man, it sucks that I can't get. I love the artifact appearances. Like every class that I play a lot on, I do the class order hall because I want that mount. I want that title. I want those weapons mostly because they're sick. You can't get some of them because it's just, you did. And people will say like the entitlement. Listen, man, it's a fucking recession out there. Maybe that affects you. Maybe it doesn't. Like, can we not bring entitlement into fucking video games?
I'm going to be honest. If recession doesn't affect you, you don't get to talk about entitlement.
Well, and I mean, no, it's a fair argument as well because it's like, hey, you could say people that like store mounts, like they absolutely put content in games nowadays, knowing that like they just did it with Magic. I think it was. They reprinted. I never played Magic. I know you play Magic the Gathering. They reprinted a really expensive pack that had a chance for you to get a Black Lotus card.
Yeah.
It was like $1,000 or something like that.
Way more than that, but.
No. To get a chance to open one. A Black Lotus was worth more than that. A real one. But like they reprinted the cards, which actually does devalue the other ones a little bit because we're talking about a real card here that you could go and sell. I know a guy who at least claimed to 10 years ago. Shit, man. I'm old. That was like 16 or 17 years ago now, who claimed that he paid for part of his original college tuition by selling his Black Lotus. Because that has actual value, unlike Invincible, which has value to us and that everyone wants it. But nobody sees Invincible and goes, man, that guy has Invincible nowadays. In 2006, we did. In 2023, they think, fuck you. They don't think about it at all, most likely.
No,
because
it's like, fuck you, dude. You get certain mounts, you'll get me mugged for, dude. You'll get slash glared, you'll get pink. I love getting the pink, dude. Like,
okay, well, I guess that could give you value, but that like,
dude, but like, the only reason why
I get value from
is because, like, look, dude, I literally just existed, and you just went like, I can't help you, like.
Well, and what do you do to get Invincible nowadays? Is that a challenge at all? No.
Bro, I'm going to be honest, when I was doing that, I had completely forgotten he even dropped.
Now, there's a bunch of people out there that have run Ice Crown Citadel maybe every week for the last 8 years and haven't gotten it, but like all you do is walk up to fucking Arthas and right click him and wait for the RP to finish.
Yeah.
And then did you get it or not? Like the challenge is as much a challenge as it is for me to go, hey, I got to go download fucking WoW Wrath of the Lich King Classic. It's a lot less time, maybe. But maybe you walked up and got Invincible on the first go. Did you fucking earn it? Are you entitled? No. It's insane. Like, so why would you want something that's going to hurt the game that you like playing? Because if you really think that people are standing around in awe of you when you mount up on whatever it is and stand in Feldrake right now, or the capital city, you know, whatever current capital city is, if you're watching this in the future, like, hello, by the way, nobody cares anymore most of the time. And if everybody leaves the game, they're definitely not watching you, like, which they're not doing anyway, Mr. Cartman. And also, if I posit this to you, if something is valuable because other players can't get it, do you know what I would do if I found myself in that position? I would play single player games. You could even go lord it over the NPCs and you'll have about the same effect as you would get. That's how valuable prestige is nowadays. It definitely existed back in the day, but back in the day, like, fucking most of the player base didn't even know what you had to do to get Thunder Fury, to get the Hand of Ragnaros, to get... Everybody knew how to get Invincible, but like... Nowadays, we realize the magic of that is gone. It's RNG, it's a grind, it's something that you could go do if you wanted to, or it's something that you got because you happen to be paying $15 a month at the right time and you went in the right place at the right time. And yeah, maybe the Mage Tower was originally a challenge, but if you talk to people about it, it definitely got easier once they put in the Antorus gear and the ketchup gear and all that. It's like, and Mage Tower is harder nowadays because of the way the item level works.
Yeah. And in reality, if they were able to earn that artifact, I would say they earned it more than you did. Because when they did it, it was harder. Which makes it, according to Prestige, makes theirs worth more.
And the trading post is a great vehicle. It is literally a win for everybody because more people are playing the game. There's more incentive to play the game.
Yep.
They can make it as challenging or not as they want to. You can still put it behind challenges. It just feels bad when you're like, how do I get that? And then they tell you, you can't. It's like, hey, I had stopped playing when the fucking Deathwing mount came out. I saw Deathwing and I was like, dude, it's fucking Deathwing. It's like, how do I get that?
Yeah,
you can't get that anymore.
Can't.
And that one, I think, was around when people were able to dupe stuff. I don't know what you had to do to get that one, but there's absolutely mounts out there right now that people duped when duping was possible for no, like, so I just do not understand people that say, like, it devalued it. It's literally Blizzard. You're like, hey, well, how do we get them to keep playing the game? How do we get them engaged? In Shadowlands, when we were all starved for content and going, give me a reason to play Shadowlands. We want to play World of Warcraft, but it feels bad to play World of Warcraft when there was nothing to do talking about in Shadowlands. It's like, hey, if you had made the Mage Tower artifact appearances possible, people would have done that content.
Yeah, people would have done Torghast had there been some kind of appearance or something to really earn. There were no real rewards. And don't say that ugly looking armadillo thing was a reward. It wasn't. Ugh.
And Blizzard doesn't even have to redesign anything because they're already in the game.
Yeah. Dude, like, once again, I don't get it. Blizzard jumps on the boat and then shoots a hole in it immediately. It's like, this is how we sail.
But listen, if you were like this one guy that I read a comment from and like,
are we going back to that guy? Like, dude.
Talking about comments on the internet. Like, it's,
right.
You know,
like, dude, you just gotta let it
but
go.
Dude, some people are seething. Like, some people, they're like, Blizzard spit in my face. They would be spitting in my face if they allowed you to get that item.
Face.
They spit in his face.
They spit in my face.
You want them? They took /spit out of the game.
Yeah,
and
they
you're
can't
asking
spit
Blizzard.
In your face. They literally
you're
don't
asking
have
Blizzard to spit in your face, to spit in that guy's face. You entitled bastards. You think you deserve?
Like, to think that really, and to be honest, to think that Blizzard would really take the time to spit in your face, like, to think you were worth that amount of time.
Listen,
talk about entitlement, man.
Several years ago, I was downtown with my buddy,
good shit.
who I used to play World of Warcraft with a long time ago when we were wee lads. And we were out at a bar that had a second story. And we're up on this upper deck. And we're talking to some random guy that worked in the tech industry, which there's a lot of in Austin. I think he worked for Dell or something. But either way, he pulls out his wallet at one point, and he has a Louis Vuitton or some kind of like designer wallet. It was very expensive. My friend pointed out. And we were like, what do you do? Blah, blah. And he's like, oh, telling us about what he does. And so, like, this guy, I don't want to, like, disparage anyone for how they want to dress or what they want to do or whatever. But this guy, like, he was a little bit, it wasn't the way he was dressed. He was very intoxicated, which could have been it. Like, but definitely seemed a little bit socially awkward. This guy, he, some girls come up on the stairs to the second story or whatever, the second level of the bar, and they go to this other bartender. I was like, hey man, it's like, you should go talk to those girls. I was like, you should go buy them some drinks. So you flashing around that fucking big spender wallet and talking about this. And he looks at these girls, dude, and he goes, no, those girls, they don't even deserve it. He's like, they don't fucking deserve it. Talking about what was in his wallet. And that's how I feel almost about the people that are like yelling about
who that
entitlement.
Reminds me of? Yankee. You called him a Yankee Doodle Dick.
Oh. One of our friends who was originally from New York.
Seriously, dude, you should build a church or something. Dude is good.
Dude should build a church?
Oh, yeah. Church, school, something. Shouldn't keep that kind of thing to himself. It's not right.
Keep that thing.
You had to be there all those years ago.
I'm gonna be honest.
Here we go. We're gonna start talking.
I don't think you listen to us. But if you do, you should not start a church. You should not start a school. In fact, you should probably.
Remember, this is high.
You should probably put your. You should probably. No one should listen to this man.
Oh man.
Oh man.
Well,
you fucking entitled players.
Indeed.
You spit in that guy's face.
Good. Get ready. I'm about to hock a loogie in it.
Hey, trading post, good.
Trading post,
putting
good.
things in the game that are no longer available that you can get through just playing the game, whether or not eventually it does become possible to buy
it's
Tinder.
Very nice.
Doesn't hurt anybody. And if you, the truth is, even if you could buy the Tinder, that doesn't hurt anybody. We already live in a game time where you can, like the WoW token, whether or not you want to go like what level you want to say, it definitely makes the game to somewhat, especially with professions being the way they are now. And we should definitely talk about professions next time because they're good. They're better than they ever have been, but they definitely need some work. But don't ask an AI what kind of work it needs because it will tell you that it will just try to get you to realize that it's going to replace you. I think we all saw from the beginning.
We did.
He's asleep in the middle of the bed.
Well, I say it's his bed now. Looks like you're sleeping on the floor.